Hey guys, what's up? It's Carl 996 here. I'm doing the usual, chilling like a villain, eating some strawberry shortcake. Get some, I highly recommend it. Anyway, for all of my subscribers, you guys can tell by the UFC hat, this is a rant video. But before I get into that, I got a new friend today, new friend invite from Mustafa Pascal. Sorry if I might mispronounce that. I do rant videos, and whenever I do a rant video, I always wear my UFC baseball cap, due to the simple fact that it's mixed martial arts, it's ultimate fighting, and I like wearing this because I feel like a UFC fighter and feel like I want to beat the living blue hell out of somebody when I see stupid choices being made in the wrestling business. So, if you ever see any of my rant videos, I'm always wearing this hat. But for all of my subscribers who already know me and know my videos, you guys know, heads up, what this video is going to be about. Why the hell TNA re-signed Hulk Hogan? Okay. Had to get another bite of that strawberry shortcake ice cream. Like I said, get some, guys. It's good. You can buy that at your local Jewel, Osco, or Dominex. So anyway, why the Hulk Hogan get re-signed by TNA? I have no idea. So where do I start on this topic? Okay, one, it was announced, I want to say last July, early August, I think maybe around the second week of August, that Hulk Hogan's contract was coming to a close and was expiring with TNA in, I think, November. Okay. So, you know, getting this information, I'm like ecstatic, I'm excited. Yes. But, yeah. But, you know, 2 weeks before last week's Impact, they announced that TNA has worked on re-signing Hulk Hogan to a new contract. What the hell is TNA doing? Now, here's my problem, is that since Hogan has come in TNA has not gotten better. They really haven't. They haven't gotten better in anything that they've done. If not, well, if anything, they've just become crap now, you know. Now, I've always said this in my past videos, TNA was never a perfect company. They've had problems, and they pulled some dumb crap and stuff like that they still pull now onto this day. However, the difference between TNA having their crap back then and still having their same problems and craps today, along with Hogan and Bischoff added on to the crap and stuff they still have on today, is that TNA was still watchable back then before Hogan and Bischoff came. You still got to see Samoa Joe and your AJ Styles and your Christopher Daniels in their main event pushes. Okay? The only veterans you had were Sting and Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett I threw in there. Those are really like the only true veterans that you really had. But since Hogan has come into TNA has not gotten any better whatsoever. Their rating, their track record of their ratings for their show is still the exact same before Hogan got there. Okay, yeah, the January 4th edition of Impact back in 2010 was the highest rating TNA Impact show in the company's history when Hulk Hogan made his debut. Okay, and I thought that was a really good show of Impact. But guess what? Last week's Impact, when they were in Tennessee, and when Hulk Hogan quote unquote had his big announcement to announce that he was going to retire, that was TNA's lowest rating score that they've gotten in the company's history last week. So you tell me if the biggest name in the history of wrestling, is he really doing much to help TNA? No, he does not. Okay? Another thing I have a problem with this. Hold on, I gotta get some water. Another problem with Hogan in TNA is that TNA pays Hulk Hogan, I found out, $35,000 for an appearance. Okay? Hogan gets $35,000 for every appearance he makes on Impact. Now, out of all the appearances he has on Impact within a 1-year span, equals out to a total of $2 million a year. $2 million a year does Hulk Hogan get paid from TNA. What the funky blue hell? Like, really? I mean, TNA are paying Hogan double than what, WCW paid Hulk Hogan in his last years in WCW. Okay? And here's why. Because the year of 1999 to 2000, when Hulk Hogan was still from WCW, Hulk Hogan got paid $1 million a year from WCW. And WCW is was a multi-billion-dollar company, a company that was on par and went head-to-head with Vince McMahon and the WWE every single Monday night, 365 days a year for 6.5 years. Okay? Hulk Hogan got paid $1 million during his last years in WCW. TNA, who cannot afford to get out of that hellhole in Orlando studios and can't afford to travel on a regular basis, across in and out of state and have live events on a weekly basis on their show, are paying Hulk Hogan double the money than what a multi-million-dollar company, which is now defunct, but a former million-dollar company paid Hogan. What the hell? I mean, that explains why they've been cutting a lot of their talent, because they're paying Hogan everything. That's the problem. Okay? Now, I'm pretty sure Hulk Hogan had his head so far shoved up his a-hole he can't see the light of day. So I'm pretty sure Hogan probably did not want to negotiate or want to work with TNA in no other way unless he got paid, this X amount of dollars. But paying Hogan this amount of X number of dollars is at the expense of your other young talent, guys who need to be elevated and need to be pushed because they're going to be around your company for the next 10 years. Okay? Now, they've gotten rid of Jay Lethal. They've gotten rid of Amazing Red. They've gotten rid of Homicide. They've gotten rid of, they're not using Samoa Joe. They got rid of, I'm trying to think of the girl's name. Awesome Kong, although she asked to be released. But, further, they just, without second guessing and try to negotiate with Awesome Kong, they just let her go. Okay, so yeah, TNA has acquired some key talent, and some can say bigger key talent than what the ones that they've let go. Guys like Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, Crimson. Although Crimson's not a big key talent, but he's still, new talent that they've acquired since Hogan and Bischoff came in. Anderson, Brian Kendrick, and Austin Aries. Okay, so these guys are all major key players, except, like I said, except Crimson. These guys are major key players who've, quote-unquote, replaced their talent. But it really doesn't mean anything when one of those key talents you have, you turn them off and on like a water faucet between turning them heel, face, where you don't know what to do with them. Then one of those other key mark talents, you hardly use anymore. And then your other key mark talent just pretty much costing like thousands of dollars and just pretty much put your company in more of a crap hole than it was on a major pay-per-view. Okay? So, really, these marquee names don't really mean anything in TNA right now. They really don't. Okay? Secondly, as to why, they're paying Hogan his money, which, like I said, I think is ridiculous. He doesn't need it. Okay? There's some talent in TNA who work part-time jobs because TNA cannot afford to pay them anything. They can't afford to pay them money. Okay? Perfect example, Madison Rain. Madison Rain works in a Sunglass Hut store in the mall. Madison Rain works in the Sunglass Hut in the mall. She's a wrestler. She's wrestling for your company. It's her professional job. She's supposed to get her daily income. She's supposed to get just solely from wrestling because that's her career. That's her job. Not have part of her paycheck coming working at a side job, and then the other one, her paycheck is really not a guarantee because they may pay her today, but then they might not pay her today because she's not going to be on TV because they're using a whole bunch of other guys who are over there in their 40s and 50s and 60s, taking up a whole bunch of TV time. Okay. You look at Mickie James. Mickie James has her music career. Okay. Now, honestly, some will say Mickie James might not even need to wrestle because due to all the money she's made, from WWE and TNA. But still, Mickie James is doing something else other than, wrestling in TNA. Trying to think of another talent I'm trying to think of. Can't think of right now. Zeba Ion. Zeba Ion, yeah, he's in TNA, but he's still working in indies, on the indie scenes. What's up with that? Okay? He's working on indie things, and working in the indies, they pay you, peanuts, if not nothing at all. Why the hell are you not using Zeba Ion on your show? Okay? And not paying him. Okay? So, and there's some other talents that I can go down and list the name, but I don't feel like going down and list naming. So, there are talents within TNA, like I said, there's talents within TNA who, like I said, work part-time jobs, but they have no other choice because TNA are lining Hulk Hogan's wallets with $2 million a year. So they have to have these guys to sit at home because we have nothing for you. Because if we put you on TV, we're going to have to more likely take a jab at Hogan's money and what we're paying him, and we're not going to risk that. So, yeah, you're just going to sit at home and just do nothing, And because of that, I think it's one of the reasons why they got rid of Jay Lethal. Now, Jay Lethal had a contract in TNA where he was going to get paid whether he was on TV or not. So during that whole time when Jay Lethal was gone from gone from TV for like 5 or 6 months or whatever, he was sitting on the sofa getting paid checks, But TNA are like, oh wait, hold on, we're not using this guy because he's sitting at home paying checks because his contract is that he gets guaranteed whether he's on TV or not. So they're like, oh, well, we haven't used him in 5 months. He hasn't been on TV. It's taking money from us, and we're on a tight budget. So let's fire Jay Lethal, who is a tremendous young talent, one of the best young talents in wrestling today. You cut him, but yet you still keep a 57-year-old man, paying him $2 million a year, well, $35,000 an appearance, which out of all the appearances he makes on every show equals to $2 million a year, okay, who does nothing but talk through the whole crap darn show, okay, trying to reinvent something and try to remake something that's been long dead and gone since the 1990s. You have him on TV and taking up all your time, and the viewing ratings on your show are still continually to plummet, if not stagnate and stay the same, and not move up or down, but just stagnate and just stay the same. What the hell is wrong with you, TNA? Really. What the blue hell is wrong with you? Okay. Now, some people may say, oh, well, Hulk Hogan has brought, recognition to TNA. Yes and no, only to a certain extent. Okay. Just recently now, Hogan has brought some attention to TNA since he has his match at Bound for Glory. That has hit TMZ. It has hit I think ESPN had an interview on ESPN. I think like last week or something like that, and they had an in-depth interview with him about him talking in Bound for Glory and how he's talking like this is going to be his last match, like legitimately it's going to be his last match ever. And even before this, I've seen him on the Late Night Show with Jimmy Fallon when he had first came into TNA. The Wendy Williams show. So he's brought some recognition to TNA, but not a lot or not enough to where there are more people who are going to tune in and watch TNA on a regular basis. I mean, TNA still pulls like 1.3 million people every Thursday, which is still the same that they've been drawing since before Hogan and Bischoff even came into business, or not in the business, but into TNA. Okay, now how can I say this? It's not a problem if you use big marquee names like Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan, guys who, like I said, big marquee names, legends. But the problem with TNA is that they overuse their legends. Once again, like I said, it's not a bad idea that they got Hogan into TNA, or even Ric Flair. But the problem is they overuse them. Okay? You have Hulk Hogan. Now, I don't mind Hulk Hogan being, an authority figure in TNA, type of character, a general manager, something like that. I don't mind that. That's fine. But to have Hulk Hogan get more TV time, than an AJ Styles, or Samoa Joe, or Bobby Roode, or Kazarian. Young talent, guys who are good, guys who can go, guys who've been with the company since the company's, was built from the ground up. He gets more TV time than they do. That's a problem. Okay? Or when you have guys like Ric Flair, who just, acting like a fool. I mean, literally. Yes, Ric Flair's a 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. Whoop-de-doo-dah. Okay, yes. Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all time. I will not take that from Ric Flair. Okay? Ric Flair has had some tremendous matches throughout his 30-plus year career. Okay? Love some of his matches. Alright? Like I said, one of the greatest of all time. But looking at Ric Flair now currently on TNA and how TNA has been using Ric Flair and how Ric Flair has been carrying himself, you never would have guessed, had you not known anything about Ric Flair, you never would have guessed that Ric Flair would have such a decorated career in the wrestling business that he's had. Never would have guessed. Because you know why? Because they overuse Ric Flair. They have Ric Flair constantly on TV, or they're having Ric Flair getting ripped out of his clothes every week, or having bloodbaths against Mick Foley, which I thought was a good match, but still having bloodbaths against Mick Foley, getting the hell beat out of his clothes, by the young talent, or main eventing their show with another guy past his prime, Stain. Like I said, if you were a guy who had no knowledge of Ric Flair and you're watching him for the first time on Impact, you'd be like, who the hell is this guy? Who the hell is he supposed to be? Because the way Ric Flair carries himself. Like I said, Ric Flair's accomplished so much within the wrestling business. 16-time world champion. But the way Ric Flair's been carrying himself in TNA is like he's tarnishing his career. He's tarnishing his legacy. He's tarnishing what people should remember him for. and what he's contributed in the wrestling business and things that he's done, not what he's currently doing now on television. Okay? Absolutely. Does not make any sense. Okay? TNA should have used Ric Flair in a manager state-like position, where Ric Flair would be a manager to Fortune or any other young talent, and he just stays as a manager in a manager role or position. That's it. Ric Flair does not need to go out and wrestle with, a 33-year-old AJ Styles or 28-year-old Jay Lethal getting beat out of his clothes, or having a hardcore type of match with Mick Foley. He's too old for that. His body can't take those type of bumps anymore. It's ridiculous. Hulk Hogan should stay in a manager type of position. Hulk Hogan should not constantly go out on TNA and try to relive or recapture, the glory days he had back in the 80s in WWE or 90s in WCW. Shouldn't do that. Hulk Hogan is a guy. You look at Hulk Hogan when he's walking down the freaking ramp. He looks like he's about to literally fall over as he walks forward. He's banged. He's beat up. There's no way in the world you should have a guy who's had 8 to 10 back surgeries within a 1-year span. 10 back surgeries, okay? Wrestle at all, and especially in a caliber type of match of a no disqualification match, where you're using chairs to whack each other across the back and kendo sticks and God knows whatever else that you would use in a no disqualification match. You don't do that type of stuff to a man of his age who's had, like I said, 8 back surgeries within a year, has had hip replacements. That he's too old. He can't take this type of bumps anymore. And that's the problem with TNA. They overutilize their veterans to the point where the product as a whole, when you watch it, is nothing but when you look at it, it's nothing but a retirement. It's like watching a retired wrestling show full of retired wrestlers from WWE, WCW, trying to relive their glory days. And when they take up all this time on television, the young talent don't get used to their full potential. When the young talent aren't used, they have them sitting at home, and if they have this type of contracts where they're going to get paid guaranteed whether they're on or off television, then they're going to cut them because they're going to say, oh, well, we don't have the type of money and expenses to pay you, and because we're not using you, we're just going to let you go. And they waste on using young talent, so it just turns into a big, huge, ginormous piece of crap. Really. Like I said, not a bad idea that TNA has hired Hogan, Ric Flair, biggest names in the wrestling business, very recognizable guys, marketable guys that can get your company, heard or whatever, can help get your company out there because of their marquee name. Their names are trademarks. But when you use your legends, guys like Hogan or Ric Flair, hell, even Sting, when you use them to the point or the way that TNA has been using them and overusing them, then you don't need to keep them in the company at all whatsoever. Do you need to keep them? If you cannot keep Ric Flair in just a manager type of position, if you cannot keep Hulk Hogan in a figure, an authority figure type of character or general manager type of position, if you can't keep them like that, then you know what? I'm sorry, Ric Flair. I'm sorry, Hulk Hogan. There's nothing I can do for you because I want my company to succeed and move, above, and I want to reach to the next level. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. I'm sorry. That's just how it has to be, And then, and TNA has a new head writer. I forgot the guy's name. I think his name is I forgot his first name. but his last name is Richard. No, Pricer or something like that. Anyway, but I know the guy. For a lot of us old school wrestling fans, the head writer of TNA, or the new head writer of TNA, is the Undertaker's very first manager back in 1990 and 91. Well, I'm not sure. I think it was 91. 1991. Brother, it was brother something, but I can't think of his name. If any of you guys, like I said, were in my age bracket and know, the Undertaker's very first manager ever in WWE in 91, if you can think of his name, that's the new head writer for TNA. And, you know, there's some hardcore TNA marks who I know personally who are like, oh, yay, Vince Russo is no longer the head writer. But you know what? I'm not excited about this. Why? Because TNA has just been, over the last, 4 years now, TNA has just been such a revolving door of having people come in and out. People that say, going to be, they're going to be a game changer. They're going to do this for the company. They're going to do that for the company. They're going to reach TNA. TNA's going to see new heights like never before. But they keep doing that, and you see no progress with these changes. It's like, it doesn't matter who the hell you guys bring in now, because you're still going to be in the same level that you're at now, and you're not going to go anywhere further or get any higher ground whatsoever. So it doesn't matter. And quite frankly, that's how I feel right now with TNA. Since they've re-signed Hogan and Bischoff, 9 times out of 10 they've re-signed Ric Flair too. And because they have a new head writer, and Vince Russo has stepped down, is now the senior writer. So I don't know. I don't think, having a new head writer, I don't think it would be much of a change. I'm not going to jump out of my seat and say, we got a new head writer now, because that doesn't mean a darn thing. You still have the cancer of wrestling, Vince Russo. Although Vince Russo is no longer in a position where he would approve of things, but that still doesn't mean Vince Russo is going to write. But that still means Vince Russo, you still might write, crappy storylines and crap like that, and the new head writer might approve it. So that doesn't mean anything. And then, like I said, then you still have Hogan, Flair, and Bischoff. These two, these money sack vacuum cleaners, who just only in TNA to get a quick buck or whatever, and don't really care about the company's well-being, but they're only there to line their wallets, and add more zeros to their checkbook. Unless those 4 guys are out of TNA, I don't care who's the head writer or head booker, or I don't care. I just simply don't care. Unless TNA gets rid of Vince Russo, until they get rid of Hogan, Bischoff, hell, Flair, and even to some extent Sting, until they get rid of those guys, and, hell, like I said, they can put a freaking janitor, and they can janitor the head booker. If the janitor's the head booker, and they get rid of those other 5 guys I just mentioned, then I'd be more excited to see TNA say, okay, you know what, there may be a glimpse of hope for this company yet. But until Russo, Hogan, Bischoff, and Flair are still there, I don't see TNA, changing at all, regardless of who's the new head booker. Like I said, he's the head booker, which means he gives the okay for stuff, but that does not mean, like I said, that really doesn't mean anything, because Vince Russo can still write a crappy storyline, a story that's bogus, and the new head writer can still approve of Vince Russo's story that he's writing. And you look at it on TV, and it'll still be the crap. It'll still be the same bunch of, BS we've been seeing on TV for the past, year and a half. So it does not matter. So let me know what you guys think about this topic on Hogan being re-signed to TNA. And like I said, I just think it's ridiculous. This guy's getting paid $2 million a year double the money of what WCW paid him in his last years there, twice the money of what a multi-billion-dollar company was making, and yet TNA are complaining that, or want to play poor innocent little old me, helpless me. We don't have enough money to go live every weekend, travel in and out of states live. Just like I said, absolutely ridiculous. Just paying this guy way too much money when he's not done anything to improve the company whatsoever. Hasn't done anything beneficial for the company at all whatsoever. Company's still in the same rut they've been in before Hogan and Bischoff came in there. I mean, it done nothing to elevate the game whatsoever. So let me know what you guys think about, like I said, Hogan being signed. Hogan's, like the ridiculous $2 million paycheck that he gets from TNA. Like I said, I find that more astonishing than his reassignment, because, like I said, this is a company that stays within Orlando, Florida, like I said, who cries wolf oh so many times, and say that they can't afford to go live every week, and they're paying this guy more money. They're not even on the same level as WWE, but they're paying him more money, double than what a multi-million-dollar company like WCW paid him. How is a smaller company paying you more than what a bigger company paid you? Like, that's kind of messed up. Like, I don't know. 9 out of 10, they make some cuts and stuff like that, so they can't keep Hogan in there. So, obviously, they got it to spend, because, like I said, with the cut of the talents that they've had, and because of it, I think that's the reason why a lot of the young talent don't get enough TV time that they get, and why Hogan stays on TV constantly, because they're paying him, because they are paying him this much money. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this topic. Comment, subscribe. Peace out.